What started as just another shift at work turned into something this caregiver says she'll never forget. She works taking care of an elderly woman with severe mobility issues, someone who normally can't even get out of bed without assistance. That night, it was just the two of them in the house. At one point, the caregiver was watching a movie and decided to record a scene on her phone. The house was calm, almost too quiet. Exhaustion eventually caught up with her, and she fell asleep. The phone slipped from her hand, hitting the floor while it was still recording, and what it captured was deeply unsettling. When she later reviewed the footage, she noticed something she never expected to see. The elderly woman, who can barely stand on her own, appears upright. Strangely, she moves toward the phone with steps that seem far too fast for someone in her condition. It doesn't look like slow, unsteady movement. On the contrary, there's something about the way she advances that creates immediate unease. But what shook the caregiver even more happened on a different night. This time, she left a camera set up in the hallway while she rested, believing everything was fine. In the middle of the night, the elderly woman appears again. She walks up to the caregiver's bedroom door and stands there for a few moments, completely still, as if she's watching. Then, as she steps away, something even stranger happens. As she passes the doorway, the bedroom door suddenly swings open with force, abruptly and unnaturally, as if it had been shoved by something unseen. The caregiver says she was awake the entire time. Even though she noticed the movement in the hallway, she chose not to react, wanting to see how far it would go. Since then, she says the incidents have become too intense to ignore, to the point where she's seriously considering leaving the job as soon as possible. Are these just unusual late-night behaviors, or is there something inside that house that goes beyond what the footage can explain? What started as an ordinary day at home slowly turned into something Marcio Palmer says he never imagined he'd have to face. He was alone when he began to notice that the atmosphere felt different, like the energy in the room had shifted without any clear reason. At first, he tried to brush it off, but it didn't take long for the first signs to appear. While he was sitting in the room, the sound of glasses crashing in the kitchen shattered the silence. It wasn't a faint noise, it was the unmistakable sound of glass hitting the floor. Even shaken, he decided to go check what had happened. Once in the kitchen, another glass fell near him, as if something had reacted to his presence. Most people probably would have walked out right then and there, but Marcio says he tried to stay calm. After a while, with no more noise, thinking it was over, he went back to the living room and decided to put on a horror movie, maybe as a way to distract himself. That's when the silence was broken again. A loud bang echoed through the house, sounding like a door slamming shut. He went to investigate, but nothing seemed out of place. When he returned to the living room, he noticed the lamp was swaying on its own, as if something had just brushed past it seconds earlier, and it didn't stop there. Incidents began stacking up, almost like a chain of events trying to get his attention. Marcio describes a constant feeling that he wasn't alone, even when no one was visibly around. One day, after quickly running to the store, he came back expecting everything to be exactly as he had left it, but even from the hallway, he could already hear noises coming from inside. When he stepped in, he found furniture out of place, objects scattered around, and the house looking as if someone, or something, had turned it upside down. Right in front of him, the light bulb in the lamp suddenly burned out. The shock was immediate. From that moment on, Marcio became convinced that this wasn't just a coincidence. To him, there's something in that house that doesn't want him there. Whether it's simply a string of hard-to-explain events, or something truly trying to interfere in his life. That question remains unanswered. Not everything that catches your eye in a video is noticed in the moment it happens. Sometimes the strangest detail only shows up later, and that's exactly what happened to a man who was praying at a mosque alongside his family, something that was just part of their usual routine. During the prayer, they began hearing unusual sounds around them. They weren't clear or distinct noises, but they were enough to make everyone uneasy. So they decided to start recording the room, hoping to figure out where the sounds were coming from. And it was during that recording that something very strange appeared.
Kita ni ngaji ni weh. Lagu hewan sekitaran masjid. Apa ni weh? Apa no weh? Weh, apa no weh? Weh, ni.
In the darkness, a figure shows up for just a brief moment. Its outline looks like someone standing there, almost as if watching, before it slips out of the frame. At the time, no one reacted, which suggests that if something really was there, it went completely unnoticed. Later, when reviewing the footage, the man said there was no one else inside the mosque besides his family. After he posted the video, many viewers commented that it could have been a dejjal, an entity in Muslim tradition often associated with unseen manifestations. One possible explanation is that it was simply a shadow effect caused by uneven lighting in the space. Even so, the shape seems to emerge from a specific spot, with an outline that feels a little too defined to dismiss as just a visual distortion. Maybe it was nothing more than an illusion created by the darkness, or maybe the camera captured something that no one could see in that moment. What do you think really appeared there? What was supposed to be nothing more than a quiet walk along the beach turned into something the couple never expected to capture. They were strolling along the sand at night, enjoying the silence and filming the closed kiosks nearby. The beach was practically deserted, no visible movement anywhere, and it felt like they were completely alone in the dark. That's when they pointed the camera toward the empty kiosks, and something unsettling entered the frame.
¿Qué tal? Buenas noches, estamos transmitiendo en vivo desde Tampico, Tamaulipas, Playa Miramar, para ver un poco y hablar sobre el UFO, sobre el sistema OVNI. Estamos en el lugar donde se...
Vente, güey, es una...
Between the closed structures, a figure appears in the shadows, taking a few steps forward. Their reaction is immediate. The couple panics and quickly backs away, trying to process what just stepped into view. In the middle of the confusion, they manage to get a better look at the outline of the silhouette. According to them, it didn't look like an adult. The height and shape resembled a child, which made the situation even more disturbing. After all, who would leave a child alone on that beach, in the middle of the night, surrounded by closed kiosks and barely any lighting?
Hace un momento se registró un avistamiento de una niña entre unas palapas. Hay miedo, pero hay respeto también. No fue aquí, fue en esta palapa de acá. No puede ser, no se ve nada, pero...
Even after they got farther away, they said they couldn't shake the image of that small figure from their minds. It could have been someone trying to scare them, or even just a person who happened to be on the beach without them noticing earlier. Still, the way it suddenly appeared in a space that seemed empty just seconds before left behind a question that's hard to ignore. Were they looking at someone lost in the darkness, or at something that wasn't supposed to be there at all? On what seemed like an ordinary day, a man who lives in a city in Singapore was waiting for the train to head to work, just like he did every morning. The station was moving at its usual pace, people scattered along the platform, the distant rumble of the tracks signaling an approaching train. Still, something in the distance immediately caught his attention. In the recording, a figure can be seen in the background, positioned as if it's watching. What stood out to him the most were the eyes, which appeared completely dark, no visible reflection at all, fixed directly in his direction. The silhouette doesn't react, doesn't move closer, doesn't gesture in any way. It just stands there, perfectly still. According to the man, the moment he started filming, he felt a strange sensation, like he was being deliberately stared at. He says that to him, it didn't seem like just another person waiting for the train, but something different, something he couldn't quite explain. It could have been nothing more than an impression caused by the distance or the station's lighting. Even so, The way the figure remained motionless, seemingly focused only on him, was enough to turn an ordinary morning into something he says he still can't forget. What do you think was really standing on that platform? Months ago, a woman went through the worst pain a person can imagine, losing her own child. Since then, the nights in her house have never felt the same. The silence seems heavier, and the room where she used to sit and cry holds memories that are still painfully fresh. It was during this time that something unusual began to happen. The security camera installed inside her home started capturing a strange detail, over and over again, always late at night. In the footage, a small glowing orb appears in the room, slowly floating through the air. The light remains visible for several seconds, hovering as if it has a direction of its own, until it suddenly shoots upward just as the woman approaches. What affected her most was how often it happened. The phenomenon occurred on different days, but almost always in the same area of the house, and, according to her, during the moments when she needed comfort the most. For someone grieving such a recent loss, it was impossible not to feel like it might mean something more. It could simply be a camera effect or dust particles reflecting light. Even so, to this mother, that glowing presence feels like more than a coincidence. Is it just a simple explanation or a quiet way for someone to show they're still close by? Working the overnight shift at a hospital is usually quiet, almost unsettling by nature. Long hallways, harsh fluorescent lighting, and the distant hum of medical equipment create an atmosphere where anything out of the ordinary feels amplified. It was during one of these late-night shifts that a young man named Daniel says he experienced something he still can't explain.
This door keeps on opening and closing. Like, there's nobody here. I'm not doing the sensor, but it keeps on opening and closing. And I'm alone. I'm fucking alone.
While delivering medication to different rooms, Daniel decided to turn on his camera to document something that had caught his attention. In one of the hallways, an automatic door started opening and closing on its own. No one was walking through, no patients, no staff, and yet the mechanism kept activating as if someone were repeatedly triggering the sensor. The movement wasn't abrupt or glitchy. It was steady, just like when someone passes through normally. Each time the door slid open, the metallic sound echoed down the empty hallway, dragging out in a repetitive rhythm that cut through the usual silence of the night. For someone standing there alone, that noise felt even louder. Daniel says that in that moment, his body froze. He didn't know whether to walk closer and check it out or just back away. It could have been a technical malfunction, a faulty sensor, or some kind of system interference. But the complete absence of any visible presence makes the incident hard to dismiss. In a hospital where everything is supposed to follow predictable procedures, that door moving on its own left one lingering question. Was it just a mechanical issue, or was something unseen passing through that hallway? A woman who works at a hospital in Chile was taking the elevator down to the first floor to visit a coworker who was sick. It was a normal situation, just part of her shift routine. But during the ride, the elevator doors started opening and closing irregularly, as if something was malfunctioning. Finding it strange, she decided to record what was happening. It wasn't until she reviewed the footage later that she noticed something she hadn't seen at the time. As the doors moved back and forth, a pale face appears briefly at the end of the hallway, standing still, almost as if it's watching. In the moment, she didn't notice anything unusual beyond the mechanical issue. It was only later, after she posted the video, that followers began pointing out the figure visible at the end of the clip. According to her account, on October 27th, she needed to go downstairs to visit her sick colleague and recorded the video simply because the elevator seemed to be glitching. After she shared it, several people commented that someone could be seen staring from the background. She said she spoke with staff from the hospital's central control room, and the security cameras covering that hallway were reviewed, and according to them, no one was there at that time. She also said she felt scared once she realized the detail, even though she doesn't consider herself easily frightened, and has always been curious about the paranormal. Longtime employees mentioned that there have been similar reports over the years, involving a figure with comparable features seen moving through the corridors. Was it just a visual glitch, or did she capture something that people at that hospital had been talking about for years? What do you think really appeared there? And that's it for tonight's story. If you made it this far, go ahead and check the video on the screen. You're definitely going to like that one too. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next mystery. See you in the next video, if you dare.